Hi, I'm Jenny Sue, Customer Experience Manager here at NumberBarn. And like a lot of you, I'm also working from home. Welcome to my home. You know, we here at NumberBarn, we believe that behind every single phone number is a beautiful idea, opportunity, and person. And so we strive to make meaningful connections with our customers to understand what they're actually creating in the world and really support their number needs based on that. And on this featured customer video, doing things a little differently. Instead of just featuring about their business, I actually am interviewing our customer to understand more about what they're creating in the world. I had the honor to interview our customer, Dr. Emeka Nwankwo. Dr. Nwankwo is the chairman of the IDMANN Institute with a doctorate degree in chemical engineering from Columbia University and a master's degree in enterprise development from the University of Cambridge in England. Dr. Nwankwo has led the development of a variety of ventures, including Aquata, which makes these beautiful and delicious vegan and gluten-free products that supports the community and farms in Nigeria. I had a wonderful conversation with Dr. Nwankwo. Let's go check it out. How did you even find NumberBarn?
How did I find NumberBarn? We've had toll-free numbers in the past. And at the end of last year, we started looking for a provider of virtual numbers because we wanted to decentralize our operations as if we knew this pandemic was coming. We just didn't, but we seem to have been preparing for it. And so I started looking, I found a number of sites, but you know, the text on the website tells you some about the people behind lists for me, right? I read, it's not just the technical capability of the site, the text and the flow tells me something. And when I just got to know, we narrowed it down for when I got to know, I'm like, there's something here. There's there's certain ease of self, as I call it, which I like. I want to be relaxed, and I want to be around people who are relaxed, even though we do very, very important. So that's what brought me to you. And migrating the number. One number was easy, the other one was very difficult, but we got through it together. And that was the beginning of this relationship. And I thank you again for making that one. You helped us through it, so thank you.
That's wonderful. And I think you brought up something so important, like what a website says and how that you feel like, because you're going to be doing business, so you might as well have it be this personable connection. And that's,
right, that's true.
That means a lot.
It's very, I mean, different people present information in different ways, but it's important to me that I deal with a real person, like somebody who, it's not just business and money and services, it's also the experience, right? I mean, life is tough enough. Let's not make it any tougher, but things should be as easy as we possibly can. And for me, that was the sense I got from NumberBarn. And I thank you when you wrote back and you said, oh, you went and looked at our website, right? I mean, you returned the favor without prompting, and that's how this conversation started.
Yeah, I'm always so fascinated. I see like a business domain name and I go look because I'm like, what are they building? What are they making? This is thrilling. This is exciting. And so maybe it's like a little bit snooping, but I was like so curious. So
that's good. It's a good sort of snooping. It's a way to get to know people. As I said, it's not, you're looking around the angles to see what lies beneath. And I think that's where the real connections get made, because if you find people who are of like mind and who are going in the same direction, that's who you want to be with. So that was, I appreciated you reaching back, looking at our website and reaching back to me. I thought that was very insightful. And it reinforced the fact that this was the right pick for us in terms of a partner to manage our communications.
And so just out of curiosity, how has NumberBarn actually, helped you so far with numbers? Once your numbers are here and adding additional numbers, how has it kind of supported? And we'll get into more of the bigger things that you're creating, but just kind of in a nutshell, like how has it really supported your goals and helped you connect with others?
Well, let me put it this way. The day there was a lockdown, nothing changed for our company. Nothing. Mm-hmm. And nothing changed because the infrastructure to operate from home had been built around NumberBarn, right? Mm-hmm. So, and then they said, stay home. Okay. I mean, nothing changed. And the ability to operate, to be flexible and nimble is the key to success, especially for companies like ours that work in difficult places and on very difficult, seemingly difficult problems, seemingly difficult and rewarding, not but rewarding, but and rewarding.
Yeah.
Being able to direct our calls, to convert some of them to virtual lines, take calls on our cell phones. I mean, it really made life easy. So we didn't have to worry about that. We could then focus on the other things. So that was very helpful. And as you can see, we've gone from the initial 2 numbers we had to like, I don't know, like 16 numbers that we have now for different things, for different people. So all of us are coming onto your platform because it works.
Thank you for sharing that. Yeah,
You're
absolutely.
welcome.
So now we get to talk about what you're doing in this world. And you have, kind of these 2, the IDMANN Institute, and then you have Aquata, and there's wonderful things within each. So I'm going to kind of just let you take it away and share, what are you building out there in the world?
Well, firstly, let me confess by saying the company Aquata is 22 years old.
Okay.
So we've been around, right? If we're old enough to vote, right?
Yes.
I tell you what I said. So Aquata and IDMANN are really the same company. Mm-hmm. But I'll tell you how we started. So 2020, when I finished grad school, 25, 26 years back, I wanted to go back to Africa to do one thing, and one thing only, and that was to build factories to add value to things that grow that people have no value for. Mm-hmm. I happened to be a chemical engineer. I was working for one of the large multinationals at the time, but this is what I wanted to do. I couldn't think of anything else, right? I mean, no matter what I was doing, this was my call. I wanted to go take things that are of little value and produce things that are of high value. That's it. And cut a long story short, after a few years, I registered a company called Aquata Development Corporation in Nigeria. That company that started off, I remember the day I bought the first curtain for the window and the first few chairs. It's grown now to be something that is substantial. And what do we do? So at Aquata, we do 3 things. We enable farmers to grow produce, which we process into shelf-stable products. So we have farmers growing rice, cassava, all sorts of things, which we process into shelf-stable products that we export to the States. That's problem 1, right? Problem 2 is that we generate energy from all the waste streams that we produce and all the waste streams we can get our hands around, right? So, for instance, if we process rice, so let's just take most people eat rice, but they don't know where rice comes from. Rice comes from a little grain of a rice. The outside is the husk or the hull. Some people call it rice husk, some people call it rice hull. That's a very hard shell that protects the rice from weevils and all kinds of other things. You got to get that husk off, right?
Yeah.
It's a very, very difficult material because it tends to be silicate. It has a lot of silica in it. It doesn't burn very well. It can't do much with it. But we generate energy from rice husk, right?
Yeah.
And then the rice bran, which is in between. So you have the rice husk outside, you have the bran, which is in there, then you have you polish the bran off, then you get the white rice, which you eat. We produce all sorts of foods from the bran, and then we produce the rice, the whole grain rice, which we sell, right? Mm-hmm. So biofuels, bio-based fuels is something that we do as a consequence of our food processing activities, right? Mm-hmm. The third part, which brings us to the conversation I had in was about 18 years ago, we looked and it became clear to us that we were not getting the kind of technical hands that we needed to run the factories where we wanted them to run. So you have people who have degrees and certificates, but they didn't have the right skill set. And so we said, maybe we should consider starting up our own small training facility, and let's just get somebody in-house to train them. It kept growing as an informal practice in-house. And about 5 years back, we looked around and we said, it's time, let's go register this thing as a formal institute. And that's where IDMANN Institute came from, right?
Yeah.
So IDMANN is a direct consequence of the work we do at Aquila. And fast forward 3 years, about 2 years back, IDMANN had grown to the point where we said, our training in Africa is going well, time to bring it stateside. And that's what brought us here just before this pandemic started. So the timing, we've been led here literally by the nose to this point. What I should tell you is that the commitment we made at IDMANN from the start was we were going to build our own platform ourselves that would do three things. One, it had to be very secure. You and I are on a Zoom call now. You had to send me the password. People have Zoom follies to talk about. We built a secure platform from the ground up, and all our training had to be online, and it had to enable low bandwidth. So even if you were in some village somewhere where the internet speeds weren't very high, you could participate in our classes. You can see how relevant that is today, right? I mean, it's literally where we are today. And one of the things that we did then was we worked on training our teachers to teach online, which is something we're doing for teachers now in the States, because teachers need to learn how to teach online. So it's one thing has prepared us for the next time, prepared us for the next time. Here we are talking to you.
I love hearing the journey of how everything evolved and how you're like, you saw that you needed a certain type of person. So you didn't just like go search for it. You're like, we're going to make it. We're going to make them ourselves. And we're going to, not only make them, but like give other people the opportunity to get this education.
Thank you. I have to confess that it's part of our culture. For instance, at Aquila, virtually all the equipment that we use, we design and fabricate ourselves right there in our corporate campus. We say, okay, so I'll give you a practical problem that we solved recently. Cassava, if you go to West Africa, to Latin America, cassava or tapioca or manioc, depending on where you're, is this big root that it's like an oversized potato, right? Really big, right? Its shape is irregular. It comes with all kinds of things. And again, as nature would, it has this peel which protects it while it's growing in the soil. So it's actually a root which you harvest and you peel, and the inside of what's inside the root is what you eat. I can tell you that cassava peeling has been a manual operation for centuries.
Wow.
I mean, people literally. Now, the Brazilians have done a good job of developing machines that can process cassava in very large volumes, right? Because Brazil kind of led the world in producing ethanol from cassava and from sugarcane, right? So Brazil, if you have very large plants, but most of the people who want to peel this thing are not going to process 100 metric tons a day. They want to do 2 tons a day, right?
Right.
So I called a team, 4 of them. One of them had worked with me for 19 years, one might be with me for 12 years. I said, look, you have 5 days to develop a peeler. Spend whatever you need to spend, stretch or whatever you need to stretch, come back with a peeler. Now, I gave them 2 constraints. And I want you to think of, so imagine that you're peeling an orange with your hands. Just imagine it, right? That's probably what you want to solve.
Right.
The peel efficiency has to be close to 100%. Nobody wants to eat an orange with orange peel on it. Right. Right?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Just think about it, right? So the peel efficiency has to be close to 100%. But in going to that 100%, the peel loss has to be very low. You don't, in the attempt to get the orange peel off, you don't want to lose a lot of the orange that is inside it too, right? Just think about it. Right? Those are 2 competing pressures. Get almost all the skin off, get as little of the inside as you possibly can. They solved it. They fabricated it, and we have sold that solution to about 3 dozen companies that bought the equipment from us since, because it works. And their solution was elegant and simple. and I say elegant and simple in an engineering sense, right? The simplest solution that you can, right? I mean, they got it right. It processes very large amounts, and it's something that you can build in the middle of the bush somewhere, right?
Wow.
So this is part of our culture. This is what we've always done. You know, we always look inside instead of out, right? It insulates. We generate our own power, right? So energy prices have been fluctuating in Nigeria, going up. Well, it doesn't affect us because when we mill rice, we produce rice husk, and the rice husk generates the power in our campus, right?
Yeah.
Now, that's the good news. The bad news is you have to spend a considerable amount of time and human capital to build this capability in-house. But that's what is reflected. So IDMANN was just an extension of the culture that we've had and we continue to have. This is and we enjoy that sort of thing. We like building stuff. I do. And I think most of the people who work with me too, to their credit. They all enjoy doing it. They have that sense of accomplishment when we set a goal and we meet it. So it has served us well.
And in 5 days, they were able to do that.
It was Monday morning. I said by Friday, by the time you leave home on Friday, I want to impede here. So they designed and fabricated it in 5 days. It was by Friday, 7 p.m. It was running.
Yeah.
So we sent you some bread, right?
Yes. Yes.
We'll talk about that and bread. As you know, everything in that bread was made in our factory, except for the small amount of salt and sugar. Everything else came from our factory. We tried to introduce that bread in Nigeria 4 years ago. The market rejected it. So let me talk about things that didn't work, right?
Okay, yeah.
Now, I'll tell you why. Because if you think about bread around the world is a very cultural experience at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
So if you were in Europe a few weeks back, you know, the bread you eat in Eastern Europe is different from what you see in the middle of Paris, and different from what you see if you cross the channel to the house. I mean, you know, bread is a very, very cultural. You know, if you went to the Middle East, the bread tends to be flat, right? I mean, it's who we are, whoever we are, right?
Right.
Now, because of this reliance on imported stuff, Africans are now eating wheat in massive quantities. So if you want to cause social disruption in Africa, increase the price of wheat. Yet everything you need to grow bread, to make bread, grows literally next door. Mm-hmm. So there was some dislocation in Nigeria in foreign exchange, and maybe this was 4 years now, 5 years back. But overnight, the exchange rate just shot up, right? Mm-hmm. So the price of bread doubled because the price of wheat doubled. We were jumping on because for us this was the time for us to show what we could do, right? So we started producing bread at double our previous rate, right? People would taste the bread they would like. But the problem was getting them to taste it, because what you saw, if you look at our bread, it doesn't, people tend to use all kinds of fillers to bake bread, right? That's how you get the puffy loaf that, you know, that sits like a chef's hat.
Right.
And people wouldn't try. People just would not try. And at a certain point in time, there was actually a lot of civil unrest because bread got so wheat was so expensive that the government had to intervene and subsidize the price. It's just, you know, this problem tends to compound if you don't nip it in the bud, right?
Right. Yeah.
And for us, what that taught us was, okay, this thing is not being accepted here, but we know that we didn't even mention the fact there was gluten-free and vegan, because that doesn't even make sense. It's like, what the heck is that, right? Mm-hmm. We said, look, we are going to turn our attention to the States, and we're going to start selling our bread stateside. We don't have to explain. If I tell you that it's vegan and gluten-free, vegan or gluten-free, you pay there's a premium to be paid. If you say it's vegan and gluten-free, we know what that is. That's what led us to start doing the factory here to produce our baking mix. So the initial experience wasn't a very pleasant one, but the outcome has been a fantastic one. It's reoriented us towards the market here, where I didn't have to explain that bread. You got it, right?
Right.
That's not true every place, and that's fine. So we may have these unpleasant experiences, but something good comes out of it if we just stay the course and look as hard as we should.
Right. It was interesting because you talk about the different cultures of bread, and that is just, that resonates so true. It is different everywhere. And so when I received it, it's definitely, it's heavy. And I actually haven't had an experience with bread that was heavy. So it was a whole new, experience for me. And looking, over the ingredients, it really is so basic. Like, you have the rice and the cassava and then cornmeal, and it's so basic. The coconut one, the coconut is so good. And so when I tried it the first time, this one's cut open, and it, the vegan, gluten free, I was like, okay, well, let's see. And I warmed it up a little bit, and it was just like this nourishing, like the texture is so nourishing. I guess that's what I really want to emphasize, is that like it was just so different, but so nourishing and filling, and comforting, and it was just so different, and it just opened up my worlds, that it was like this is like, the story behind it, and actually hearing you say more about it, like really is just like this bread, like there's so much, history and the story behind it, and how it is just, it's a wonderful gift that you're bringing to the world. And it is just such a, because I don't know, like I never ever would have known that this existed had you not shared it with me.
True. Why when I sent the first time of something, I said, look, it's, the term breaking bread literally is a good thing. I said, no, let me send it to you, because at least you get to see what we do. You get to see what's behind this program that we're trying to run. Because that's what my children eat every day. That's what I eat, right? I could not make it better than that. What you have in your hands is exactly what my kids had for breakfast today, right?
Yeah.
And for me, that's our calling. If I won't give it to my kids, I won't give it to you. I won't give it to yours, right? And so the standard is that we make it the best. If we couldn't make it, it's because we couldn't, not because we wouldn't.
Right.
So that bread, everything in that bread, you could point to your mouth without blinking, right? There's nothing in it that is now blending it and producing the ingredients at the quality, the price that you need, and developing the formulation. That's us. But at the end of the day, that bread is full of things that just grow in nature. There's nothing synthetic in it, nothing artificial, and that's why you have to refrigerate it, because we could put a whole bunch of preservatives in it, but it's fresh bread. You just eat it, enjoy it, and hopefully come and buy some more. That's what we want.
Yeah, absolutely. And you could taste that. There's no, like, you taste just how authentic it is, that there's none of the junky fillers. There's nothing in there that's like you said, everything is from nature, and you can taste that. And it's funny, I had it for breakfast yesterday. Like, and I was like, this is so wonderful. I tried some the first day I got it, and then I had it for breakfast, so I could see why you had it for breakfast. I was like, I was full for like several hours, and I was like, this is such a wonderful, delicious meal. So, and
it's not loaded with sugar. You don't get that high glycemic load that comes. For you to make wheat have some taste, you load it with all kinds of sugar. All the things in there have character. So the glycemic load is so much less. The glycemic index is so much less, because we don't need to load it up with sugar to engage your tongue. There's a whole lot going on when you put it in your mouth. There's a whole range of flavors that your tongue picks up. So we don't need to overwhelm it with sugar like wheat, where you just have to give it character with sugar, right? So as I said, that's what I had for breakfast. That's what my family eats. If that's as good as we can. Now, taking it to the next step, this is what our factory makes.
Okay. Right.
Okay. Right. Now, all you have to do to this thing that I have is to add water and oil, and you get bread.
That's incredible.
So this is what we make. We make the ingredients in it, and we blend it. So this is what we package here. This is what we produce here, right?
Right.
Now, the idea is this. If you look at what we've done, it's what we call the chain link of virtue, right? We work with farmers, we give them inputs, they grow things, they sell it back to us at market prices, at open market prices. We produce it, we sell it to our customers. So the first conversation that you and I had, the first conversation that we had was around this community micro bakery program that we want to champion.
Mm-hmm.
We're putting that on hold for now because of the pandemic. But here is the idea. In most states, well, I should say, in about 38 states, 38 out of the 50 plus territories, cottage food industries can operate under a patchwork of laws, meaning it can cook food in your house and sell it to the public, right? Different places, like in California, where you are, it's licensed at the county. So you have to go to your county and get a permit from the county, right? In the state like West Virginia, you don't have to get a permit, but you have to open your home to inspection if there is a problem. Otherwise, you don't have to do anything. Different states, like in New Jersey, doesn't want anybody to sell cottage foods at all. So you get this patchwork of laws across various states. In Maryland, you can operate a cottage food enterprise up to $24,000 a year. If you want to sell it into stores, then you have to take a food service management course and get a little form from the state. So you have all this patchwork of laws.
Okay.
What we want to do is this: get small business owners to produce this in their homes and sell locally.
Mm-hmm.
We do the marketing we find the customers, we do the marketing for them, and they sell within a mile or two of their home. And we know, because we have tried it, and our trial runs have gone very well, that you can make a decent living baking that fresh bread that you have and selling it to your neighbors. Yeah. We're not talking shipping it across the country. Just bake it. We bring the customers to you. You bake it and you sell. So we ship this to you. You bake and sell. That's what we want to do on the Aquata side. That's what's driving us now. The pandemic has slowed us down because finishing the factory off and getting all of that started. But we intend to come back to that at some point in time, right?
Right. Yeah.
But as one door closes or at least shuts tighter, another one opens, and what this pandemic has done is to put a lot of pressure on the IDMANN side for us to get things up and running. So let me talk to you a bit about what we're doing at IDMANN today, right?
Mm-hmm.
3 things. 1, we have started this thing called the Cooperative Parents Alliance. I cannot tell you how important this is to me. So think of what's happened to families. Kids have been out of school for 3 months, thereabout. Nobody knows what's going to happen in the fall. The summer is here. The summer camp is not happening. Parents have to double their efforts looking for work if they've been dismissed. I mean, it's just a tsunami of pressures on kids. Right. But at IDMANN, we've always been an online school. We have our own facility. We have very good instructors in the school. So the Cooperative Parents Alliance is a simple thing. 10 parents get together, form a co-op. You can see this cooperative idea keeps popping up everywhere. You can see this co-op thing keeps showing up. 10 parents get together. They form a co-op, come to us, and we build a program. 5 days a week, kids go to school 9, 2, and 3. We teach 10 kids, a dedicated teacher teaching their kids all through the week. The program is on the IDMANN website. It's a simple thing. So now you have breathing room, right? You can actually go out and go look for work or work from home or do whatever else you need to do, knowing that your kids are being taught, right?
Right.
Math, English language arts, and I'm using English language because that's the way Common Core describes it, right? Math, English language arts, social science, science. We do a little bit of experimentation, report writing, group projects. But your kid is in school from home. It's structured. It's organized 5 days a week, right?
Yeah.
And that's what we have from 1st grade to 5th grade.
Okay.
From 6th grade on, the summer camp kicks in. And the summer camp, you're still home. And what we now have is the kids form larger groups, 15 students to a cohort. So in in the CPA, in the Cooperative Parents Alliance is 10. In summer camp, it is 15. 15 students in the class. Math, English, public speaking. So you actually have to do public speaking, like presentations to your cohort, so you are taught. You take a foreign language. We can come back to foreign language. You do technical writing, right? So you're given a topic, you research it, write the report. Then you do public, that technical report you write is what you use for your public speaking, right? So not only do you write it, you get to do your public speaking. And we do personal finance and money management course. You don't have to leave home.
Yeah.
You're in a cohort. Oh, and for the professional development course, we bring in professionals from certain courses to come and speak to kids, right? So some kids have never spoken to a doctor or a lawyer or whatever. So you actually speak to somebody who's doing these things that you imagine. This is extremely important to us because this addresses a problem right now that parents like me have, right? I mean, we said, what can we do to help today? Now, to support this, I want to draw your attention to something. A lot of teachers know how to teach. They don't know how to teach online.
Yeah, I've heard lots of stories about how that's going. Yeah. So
we, as I said, IDMANN started off as an online school. We committed to be an online school. So all our instructors, we had to train them to teach online before we put them into class.
Okay. Yeah.
We started this course 2017, 3 years back, 3.5 years back. Mm-hmm. We've developed that course now into an OTPP with online teacher practicum, where we teach teachers how to teach. We're not teaching how to do math or English. You know how to do it. But you come to us and you go through a 6-week course where you learn what's the learning management system, how do I post a course, how do I do tests, how do I grade, all the things that you need. So when you go back to school, which probably will be an online school now, you have all the things that you need to succeed. And we're working with some organizations in New Orleans to get this done. So this is where we are, right?
Right.
And it's fortuitous because the very thing that kind of slowed down the efforts around, bread and Aquada and our community micro bakery program has put a lot of pressure on us on the IDMANN side. So this is what's taking up a lot of our time. So if you look at the number of new numbers just acquired from you, they're to support the activities of the IDMANN side. Parents calling in, managing the interaction with parents nationwide. So that's where that fits. And you can see how one thing opens the door to the other one. I mean, for us, when we think of Aquada, we think of Aquada as this, right? It's a set of interdigitated fingers, right? Yeah. Each one strengthens the other. This is how. So for us, we have this side of the company where we do this. It's like everything we do strengthens the other one. Yeah. That's how we think about it. That's what we're doing at IDMANN. And we're hoping that our tutorial support will extend into the school year. So even when kids go back, we'll continue to provide them with tutorial support.
Because the level of quality, like the way that you are, educating the teachers so that they know how to do all of the, background stuff to then, because they know how to teach, like you said, but they don't know this world. So you're educating the teachers, which then provides a level of quality to the students. But also the things that you were mentioning, especially for the summer camp, public speaking and, money management and finance, to learn that as a kid is so valuable. And that is not, taught in regular, school, at least as far as I know.
No, it's not. It's not. There's not space in the curriculum for that. Right. Yeah, those are life skills, right? Right. Those are things, when you walk into most communication is non-verbal at the end of the day, as you are over a telephone, right? So the idea that you walk into a place, you're aware of your posture, you know how to communicate to people, you're comfortably in your own skin. This is what I was doing with my kids. I'll give them a topic to go and watch a video, usually TED Talks. They'll go and watch the video on their own. They will write the report. we'll edit it, and you can see their technical writing improve, their structure, their syntax is improving, because once you get that level of support, you become aware, so you edit yourself. Then they come and do their presentations. And for me, I send the video to grandma. That's a way of keeping her busy while she's in lockdown, right? She happens to be a teacher too, and a school administrator. So that sort of thing is important. But it helps to build the confidence of the kids. So it is good for every child. Every child should go through that, and this has been part of what we've done at IDMANN for a long time, and being able to bring it stateside and to get students to participate in that in the summer is, for me, it's part of our service to the community in which we live, which happens to be a global one, because anybody from anywhere can participate. You can sign up, get your kids in summer camp.
Right. I'm so curious, so on a day-to-day basis for the schooling, for example, one of the things I've heard from other friends who have kids, and they're finding that, and it's probably because, the school that these kids are going to is, the teachers aren't engaging or what have you, but the kids are having a hard time focusing. Yes. And so have you run into anything with that as far as a kid sitting and learning for a certain amount of time per day, how to keep them engaged? And again, it's probably because the content that you're providing is more, enlightening or interesting, but I'm just curious if you've ran into that and how you kind of overcome those challenges.
No, it's a very critical. there have been a number of articles in the recent past about the optimal, and in some cases the maximum amount of time you can expose students to teaching in an online platform. We took a different approach, right? We said there's a maximum. If you try and drink a lot of water at a time, there's only so much you can take. If you sip it, you can get a lot of it down, right?
Right. So
the way our program is designed, and I encourage anybody to go and try, IDMANN.Institute is our URL. That's IDMANN.Institute. That's our website. They study for an hour. There's no block that runs for more than an hour. Then there's a break.
Okay.
Right? An hour block, then a break. An hour block, then a break. Then lunchtime, then an hour block, then a break. Yeah. And that break is a half hour.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Students can watch a movie if they like. So after doing your English class, you can watch a movie, stay in class and watch a movie, or run around home, go play outside, come back, right?
Yeah.
And then we're not doing, if you think about this, students are learning public speaking, they're learning how to do research. So the students themselves are engaged because they like it, right? They like what they're doing. And everything reinforces everything else, right?
Mm-hmm.
So instructional design is a critical factor. There's nothing that's perfect, but let's put ourselves in the role of a parent. And if you think about, our client is the parent, the customer is the child, right?
Mm-hmm. That makes sense.
If you're paying somebody to keep your child in camp, you could probably get somebody to do 2 hours. Truth is, you couldn't even do your grocery shopping in 2 hours. Right? You couldn't do your grocery shopping in 2 hours. So we wanted to come up with something that would keep the students through the bulk of the day, that would make sure that they were refreshed and invigorated at the end of the day, right? So the last thing that the kids do on a typical day is that their research and their group report comes at the end of the day, because now they're working in teams, right? So it's 8 of us or 9 of us. We're working on a project. Should we include this? Should we not include that? So the burden on the kids drops as the day goes. But the more important thing is that the kids are having fun, right?
Yeah.
Now, this won't work everywhere, but the way we have designed it, the response rate has been very positive. The kids get an hour break for lunch. So if you think about it, even though there's about an 8-hour span, they're spending only about 4 or 5 hours learning. The rest of it is break time on structured time. And we found that works.
Yeah. That structure sounds it's realistic, and keeps their minds like refreshed, like you said, and that they end the day feeling refreshed, and they have the social time as well, you know, with the groups, and so there's so much variety, and that's impressive.
And keep in mind that part of that time is spent learning a new language as well, right? So what languages do we cover? I'm not going to remember all that. We do Chinese, Arabic, Spanish, Swahili, Patois, which is Jamaican, Creole, which is Haitian. We do Amharic. I'm forgetting something. Students can pick from any of these, and they are learning the language 4 or 5 days a week, right? Mm-hmm. So, you know, you did math for 1 hour, did English for another hour, perhaps. Then you did, you know, you're learning Spanish. Then in between there, somebody comes and talks to you about, you know, being a doctor or being a lawyer or being a whatever else. And then at the end of the day, you're kind of doing research with your friends. So before you know it, it's 3:30 and everybody is ready to go, because the day goes very fast because they're involved in a lot of things. Right. And we found that works quite well. The schedule is on the website. Okay. And I invite you to go take a look. IDMANN Institute.
Yeah, I'll be putting the links to all of the courses that you highlighted and talked about in the notes, so everyone will have access directly to them.
Thank you. And just a plug for NumberBarn. They can call us on our toll-free number, which is provided by NumberBarn, which is 8334 IDMANN. Right? So
that's incredible. That's so fun that you found that number, and it was.
No, it's good things happen when you wake up at 3 a.m. and you start to look. We said, okay, no, the number has to be branded. So, our toll-free number is 8334 IDMANN. So, provided by NumberBarn, right? So, if you.
Yeah. Well, as we wrap this up, you've shared so much with us, and you know, the history and the culture and everything that you are bringing to the world. I just want to circle back to that. Is there any last things that you want to leave people watching this who either are NumberBarn customers or those that are interested in, you know, changing up their online learning, or anyone who may be thinking about doing something and they're just not sure if they can bring it to the world? Are there any last comments or thoughts that you want to share?
I'll leave you with two things. One is, we've talked about summer school here, but at IDMANN, we have a number of courses, other courses that we think, all our courses focus around technical entrepreneurship. That's kind of the term for it. We just introduced a new course in mechatronics and in robotics, controlling robots with Excel. Just think about it.
Whoa,
just think about it. I want you to think about it, right? Okay. Controlling robots with Excel, with an Excel spreadsheet. I just want you to think about it, right?
Okay.
So we have courses like that where you can come in, spend a few weeks with us, go off and build a business on your. We have an aquaculture program. We have a Six Sigma program. But this mechatronics course is something that any of us could do. You can develop the capability to do controlling robots, controlling equipment in factories, developing applications. So things like that, I think, are the future of education, right? That we go to school to learn how, not to learn, but to learn how to learn, right? In a broader sense. My advice is slow down. We tell ourselves we're busy. We tell ourselves we're harried. In my view, that's just the ego, right? If you tell yourself you're busy, then you're telling yourself that you're important. We can do a lot more than we know. But we have to slow down and take one step at a time. The only step that matters is the next step.
That's good advice. That speaks very loudly to me. This has been wonderful to talk with you. Thank you for sharing so much.
Thank you. And thank you for the infrastructure that you're providing us, which makes it easier for us to do our work. It's an important part of what we do. And I'm glad to, we're glad to be your customer, and we will recommend as many people as we possibly can to, because we're very pleased with the service you provided us so far, including having this conversation. This is helpful. Thank you.